interesting. I mean, would you not argue then, or could one not argue, Sheikh, that you see there are so many transmissions in, let's say, the books of hadith, the books of sunnah, the books of in of history and all different things about varying recitations and people reading the Quran different. Like you said, the incident of, let's say, Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, and I know you have an amazing, very detailed. I was quite shocked how detailed it was with Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, and this whole thing about Mu'awwidhatain, and some very amazing points you made on that as well about his students. But with all these narratives exist without them, I mean, without going into their minute details, but one kind of consistent fact is people are saying that people seem to be disagreeing on the 100% entity of the Quran. Like, they agree on the Quran, but they seem to disagree on its certain things. Like, some people saying this ain't from it, that ain't from it. Now, wouldn't they just hide this fact? Like, why would Muslims even transmit this? Because this is not coming to us from today Orientalists. I mean, they're bringing some factors, but really the bulk of everything is coming from our own sources. It's coming from our books saying, by the way, Hisham ibn Hakim, this is how he read, Umar disagreed, this is what Abdullah ibn Mas'ud said, this is what he said, Ubay said. Our books are saying this. So why not just cover this up? Because Muslim scholars have at times, not to digress the discourse, but like, let's say you mentioned about the Jesus thing, and I personally agree. I'm also of the view with, like, what Ghamdi Saab is, that there isn't a second coming, and you get scholars like, let's say, in the past, Ibn Hazm, who says that they disagreed on this, ثم اختلفوا هل سيعود قبل يوم القيامة أم لا, but yet their names seem to have been buried. Like, scholars just buried it, they didn't transmit it. Why did they not do the same here then?
I think that's sheer honesty. They didn't mince words. I think that whatever was the truth, whatever was the reality, just brought forth. This is very similar to the fact when you see that we have certain scribal errors in the Quran, and this is something which every single scholar acknowledges. For example, we have extra alifs, extra wows, extra yas, and they were so confident that even if they preserve those errors in writing, because the orality is so strong, that people will recognize them, that these are errors, and hence they are marked by a circle so that people know that these have been erroneously written. But because they have been written by the Sahaba, you say, okay, we'll just preserve it in writing, and we know that they are wrong. So I think it's sheer honesty that they transmitted the rest of the qira'at as well, and they didn't hide it, because ultimately the thesis that they, I would say, worked up was that they also somehow are part of the Quran, and they form some historical connection with the Quran that we have. So I think it was their own purity of intent, which even today exists, and which is, of course, a matter of very singular amazement, that why is it that we have this phenomena of a parallel transmission. But this goes to speak volumes in favor of the fact that if you analyze that 20-year period or 22-year period in which the Quran was revealed and then rearranged, so these variations were bound to exist. I mean, had the Quran been given the same sequence as it was revealed, that was the final sequence, perhaps you would not have had any variation, because it would have been preserved as it was revealed. But because it was recompiled, it was given a new order, a new sequence, and some changes. There had to be these left out things, or these remnants which were there, and they were so dear to the Sahaba that they thought that because they've heard it from the mouth of the Prophet and they have some significance, so they'll just not do away with it. And they did not realize that this would become a huge problem later on, because something which is of historical significance would be mingled up and would become part of the main discourse.
What I also feel, Dr. Saab, is that I feel that the early generations, like for especially what is called the Salaf, usually up between the 1 to almost 200 years of Muslims, at least, up until the Atba' Tabi'in, Imam Malik's age, that kind of age, I feel that they were also a lot more secure with their faith in certain things. Like, these things didn't like it didn't kind of shake their faith as much. Like it, I'm sure, like it was a challenge, but it doesn't. Like I feel that with time, as institutionalization came in to Islam. I mean, this is my thought. I mean, I'm just saying that I feel that people became very insecure about anything challenging a narrative. Um,
Hmm.
but yeah, I mean, because I do find it really strange that all of these things which are so challenging for people today, they actually in our sources well discussed in the early,
Hmm.
to the extent that, and people disagree. Like, so people felt that, no, there were multiple readings, there were different things, and they weren't really shaken by this.
Hmm.
That's I just find that very
Right.
quite
So
bewildering.
you're right.